Hey, welcome to Watchmen Waiting on the Lord. Um, when you see the picture that I put up for the thumbnail, that's just to give you an idea of the things that I was discussing in my last video. Um, I believe they call that lesser magic, and they throw things in, in shows and movies and I don't like the word conspiracy theory. You can judge for yourself whether you think those things are true or not, but that's not what I'm going to discuss here. Um, what's my topic today? I don't have a topic for this, but it is focusing on the end times. So before I start, Jackknife, if you still watch my videos, I don't know if you watch my Christian channel here, but I thought I'd show you the stuff I'm making. Um, I'm doing model cars, so I'm doing like old muscle cars. I'm painting them. You get them in, like a Revo model. There's a whole bunch of different types, but you can see the engine I built and painted. This is the kind of stuff I'm doing now. You can see that's a Mustang 350 GT Hertz engine. I don't know how well I gotta look on here. See if I can show that any better. It's very tough to see on here. Anyways, there it is. It takes a long time to do that type of stuff, and then you prime your car, you sand it and paint it and stuff. So that's what I'm doing. And you know why I'm doing that? Like I've been saying, I said it, I think it was 2 videos ago. The internet is Satan's kingdom, and I recommend people to get off the internet. I don't mean channels like this. I mean worldly stuff. That's what I mean, worldly stuff. Keep your hands busy. Do whatever you can to stay away from Satan's kingdom. So I'm going to read something to you here, and I'm going to read you 2 verses. I believe this is Zephaniah 14 verse 12, and I believe this is pertaining to a nuclear war in the end, if not fire like Elijah brought down, but it sounds like a nuclear weapon, so just listen to this. And this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord shall smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh, so listen to this, their flesh shall consume away while they stand on their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, or their sockets, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. And I put, does that not sound like a nuclear war? Zechariah 14 verse 12. For pre-tribulation, I mean, this is for everyone, right? I'm surprised I never hear them read this one. They always read, from the New Testament. Before the decree brings forth, before the day passes as the chaff, 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 before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you, seek ye the Lord, all you meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be that you shall be hidden in the day of the Lord's anger. That was Zephaniah. I think that's Zephaniah 2:3. So you can go look that up. So we know that when the tribulation comes, when the bowl judgment comes, that's when that's going to happen. That's what I believe. So I wrote some stuff here. I'm really uncomfortable right now. I have a lot of gastritis in my stomach, so I got to take breaks. Let's discuss some worldly things. We're told to stay away from them, but Christians need to know the news just like anyone else, and for certain other things to look out for. By the way, Jackknife, if you watch this, if you're watching my Christian channel here, I'm asking you like to read the Bible. Open up a Bible. I'm recommending it. I think it is that time. It was only really after COVID when politicians were in the news every single day. This is true now. It's all about them. It's a lot about politicians, and I believe like they cover the news. At least 50% love their newfound power. To watch politics, except for the mainstream news, you had to go to places like C-SPAN. You had to go to C-SPAN. Except for like the nightly news. The reason for this is that they gained power and took over important decisions. Do you notice how quickly that happened? Surrounding the state of COVID and all the BS surrounding it. This is likely true for every country. Australia and New Zealand, Canada. The more I watched, the more I felt like the world is a stage and everything was masterfully set up. I started tuning out. I started tuning out of the news and stuff like that because I kept seeing the same figures like Elon Musk. I don't have to name the rest because you know who those people are. Suddenly it was, it still is, it's Elon Musk against the world, and he's in the news every day for multiple reasons. It bothers me how much people think that he's a hero. Wake up, I want to shake people. Free speech, he chants while implanting brain chips. Did you hear what happened to those monkeys he was working on? $300 billion he made from many things, but especially from electric vehicles. So he is the green agenda, guys, whether you want to realize that or not. Lithium cobalt mining done for pennies by slave labor. He's the opposite of what you think he is. He developed AI, or was a major contributor, whether by money or by actually. Do you know he named one of his kids X? His other companies were X. Twitter is now X. So you always have to go and look at the meaning for these things. Do you recognize that X is a satanic occult origin right in your face? Go look that up. I couldn't believe what I heard last week when I heard him say about Taiwan that they should cede it to China. He says it's China's. You have to go look at the end of the Second World War to see what happened. Communism was starting to take over, and then Chiang Kai-shek was leading the freedom movement and went to Taiwan, and that's where they ended up. Communism just absolutely took over, and they didn't do anything about it like the Western. They didn't do enough. I didn't know, as many likely didn't, that 85% of his manufacturing, I'm not trying to make this against him, but I'm giving you the facts. 85% of his manufacturing is in Shanghai, so you wonder why he said that. How does that make you feel about him? I'm not about worldly things, but I'm pointing to you what's going on behind the scenes. The Nazi SS skull and crossbones is an X, to give you but one example. How about the Baphomet Halloween costume that he wore? And no, I don't think it was a joke. Do you get my point now? Evil is in plain sight, and they don't hide it anymore. It was things like this that turned me off of the world like never before. The fakeness of the right and the left extremes. Back and forth, and there's no middle ground anymore. Pardon me, I got to take a little break here. My stomach's real bad, and then I'm going to get to evil times. can't tell you how much I want to scream to people about what's happening in our world, but then I realize they can't see it. Isn't that frustrating? It's the difference between seeing something bad and a believer seeing spiritual evil. So if you see 20 floods, if you have, a regular person and a believer, the believer will see that there's a spiritual cause behind that, but the other will just see destruction. They see destruction while we see prophecy and destruction. It's a good thing for us, only for the reason of his coming. So it's nice to see these things happening only because of that. God's word was right when he said he would blind the unrighteous. What most people see in this world, what most people see is the world deteriorating, but they can't understand the reasons behind it. This is about what I see happening and where I think it's going. I live in Canada, so it's not that bad except for the communist policies. So there are communist policies around here, like COVID mandates and LGBTQ everywhere. I know people are doing anything to escape, because when I leave here, I smell marijuana. Like usually it's like 2 to 3 times every walk or bike I go on. It's everywhere. I don't feel that people generally are as kind as they used to be in Canada, probably because of all the stuff and just the way the world is. The West, for that matter, is oppressive now, and if you don't think so, just wait. I'm not for Russia, but you can imagine how the West, or how people like in Russia see us now, see the West. I saw a short clip with Vladimir Putin saying that they gave Trump 500 indictments, which is more than Charles Manson got, and that he said it makes the U.S. look rotten to the very core, and it's true. It's no different than when we used to look at the communists when they were starting and all that kind of stuff back in the late 20s or 20s and 30s. Mark below if you think the U.S. administration is to blame, the left, the far left. Do you think the right is any better? I don't have a clue how the far left is still in power and weren't removed by the people 2 to 3 years ago. Doesn't that make you think that it's just a stage? All Biden has done is destroy and lie. It's hard to watch. They all lie. Is God using Biden as a weapon, like in the Book of Kings? I think it's Biden's free will, except like what he's being told to do. I don't mean like he's being controlled by God, because everyone has free will, right? But God gave him opportunity. I don't believe he's controlled by anyone but bad spirits or influences. I can't really blame the public for not knowing that we are now, any day, in World War III, full-on World War III. Like, they're going to bring the draft back, everything. I think that's coming. It's not being formally declared. You're not going to see things like this on the news. I believe it is already, and so do many experts. They're saying that it is in all but name. I listen to reputable news sources, and I can see just how much the mainstream media is purposely not covering, and that's scary. I don't think it's because they don't want to make people panic. I don't think that's the reason. I think it's because of the people who control the media. Have you seen all the fires, explosions in Russia and their blackouts? Putin had to make a buffer zone. Putin had to make a buffer zone because the West wouldn't listen to him for 15 years, saying not to put NATO and missiles on his borders. You got to see the map of all the missiles. But I don't agree with the way he went about killing people. Maybe there was no other option because the West is very aggressive. And the West is very aggressive. The United States. Have you seen the map of Russia being surrounded by NATO? If you tell someone about all the things happening around the world and why, they don't want to hear it. Imagine Noah for 120 years telling people a flood's coming. And by the way, that 120 years in Genesis doesn't mean how long we will live. 90% of Bible readers think that's what it means. 120 years means from the time that Noah was told by God till the time the flood would come would be 120 years. Technology is happening at breakneck speed. I'm not surprised, though, because I believe they had so many things under wraps and secret for years, just waiting to unveil them. Everything on TV, streaming shows, and movies now is evil in some sort of way, whether it be symbols or agendas. You know, like the Super Bowl brought to you by Pfizer. Like, what? Hollywood is evil above all. I can spend an entire day telling you how with infinite proof. The beast system, electronica, is delivering Satan's message, and is partly why I gave up wasting my valuable time on it. Would you say the majority of movies now have characters like gods? Like Marvel with a never-ending series of superheroes that goes darker every day and more daring. And like I saw the other day, you know, like in every one, there's a gay, lesbian, LGBTQ character, which is indoctrination of your children. I say that like that's what they're doing. I don't know why people haven't stood up and done something about this. My mom used to watch a Grammys and Academy Awards. She died in 2017. I'm glad she's no longer here to see the Satanic Rituals right in front of her eyes, sponsored by Moderna or Pfizer. Just wait for the next Super Bowl or awards and pay attention. Test my words here. Every ceremony now has a satanic ritual, and you know I'm right. I'd be happy to prove it if you want me to show you videos. I can make a video and just give a whole bunch of links. America is evil right now, and I know why. Prayer was removed from schools in 1962. God is long-suffering, but when enough sin reaches his ears, he answers in kind. What do you think filled the spaces where belief in God is no longer there? Ancient gods like in Rome, Greece, Egypt, all the pagan places. Did you see the places in the States where, you know, like they're putting arches and statues, like old Babylonian, Egyptian, like what are they doing? They're rituals. Do you really believe hundreds of millions of people are going to suddenly revive to God? Everyone is under a spell and things worsen day by day. Have you seen the violence in the US? Like, wow. Write down below if you think any of the 7 trumpets have blown, and I'd like to hear why. That's a very wide conversation, very broad. I think it's possible that the first one has gone off. You know, when I think of all the fires, and I know in Revelations it says 1/3 of the, but you can't ignore it, right? It's very hard for me to stay in this camera shot. Talk about DEWs, DEWs, directed energy weapons. When I watched and witnessed live on satellite on Dutch Sins, so that's the name of the channel, Dutch Sins, who he reads them expertly, I believe is an expert, and he showed Quebec in 100 areas simultaneously setting on fire with no clouds in the sky. Like, I watched it over and over and over. He's like, what? Just look up Dutch Sins, Quebec fires, and you'll see it. I'm surprised they haven't taken it down. No one's discussed it or considered it in Parliament. I self-studied war for 20 years, and they could shoot down a drone 15 years ago with a laser, it may be longer. People are of the mind that no weapons can be hidden from the public. Why is Lahaina such a secret? How about all the other fires? And I'm not saying that's what that was, but it's very suspicious. How about all the other fires and floods and storms? I wonder if it's not God, but that he told us it would happen. Jesus told us these things would happen. I wonder if that's true. God will turn on tribulation and they won't be able to control it when he does, and then they'll understand there's a God. I believe 100% we are that advanced, past Atlantis-like, like the days of Noah. It will be like Lot, checkmark, Noah, checkmark. People only care about themselves and their own selfish gains. The U.S. is a prime target for this lawlessness, and we see it in real time with murders of the border. 12 million. They think 12 million have passed over. 12 million people. Murders, border, chemical spills, plants exploding, corruption, massive drug use, massive drug deaths, mass human trafficking, unmolested by the law enforcement. And the whole of this picture is turning people cold, like it says. The love of many will go cold because of the wickedness in Matthew 24. Pardon me, I gotta take another break for my voice. Just give me a second. The virus was a means to forward their evil plans. Yes, I said it. I believe that everything the elites want can be done by population compliance under lockdowns. They knew by causing this virus that we would be herded into economic collapse, and then they could implement what they want, CBDC, whatever it is. Crush small businesses, the middle class, cut off energy, confuse the people. So they can be dependent on the government. That's it, and that's the end goal here. And then the rich, the elites, will become a lot richer, right? Because that's what happened. What was it? They some places like Amazon made like $100 billion during COVID. It was something like that. All those places did something like that. Isn't that unfair? Cut out other places. You say you can't open your store. Why do people have such trouble believing there is something called a laser? It's a science fact and 7 countries have it. But the US is the far more advanced technology. They have them in satellites. I'm sure they can I know they can put them on ships, and I'm certain they can put it on a plane. And they've been working on it for 30 years or longer. I watched a program 5 years ago, and it said the US, with laser tech and anti-ballistic missiles tech, can lock on to a listen to this, can lock onto a golf ball sized object and hit it with pinpoint accuracy from 200 miles away. That's how advanced they are. It will always be a race of sword and shield concerning nuclear ballistic missiles and the defenses against them. The US, whether you realize or not, has the ability to stop a ballistic nuclear missile, but what they can't do is ward off missile saturation, so like a whole bunch of missiles. And I do believe they can stop hypersonic, and they're working on it right now, but I just don't know how well that is. I hear so much about China and North Korea's power and advances, but people tend to forget how long the United States spending 10 times more than the nearest person. Well, for a long time they did. You know, they spend almost $1 trillion. No, they do. It's, you know, it's like 860 billion, but it ends up being like $1.2 trillion. Like, just where do you think that goes? They have weapons so advanced. And all the scientists for decades want to come to North America for obvious reasons. For some reason, people think some weapons are just fantasy, but they forget that in their own possession they have an iPhone or a smartphone in their pocket that can tell them the history of everything that's ever happened. That one phone could win World War II if you only had one at that time. You would know everything. You could. I recommend looking up the chart of fires right now, where they are in the world. I saw it myself. And especially South Africa looks pretty bad. You need to make comparison charts of other years to really know. The end goal here, because people become sensitized, right? Desensitized. The end goal here is climate religion and the worship of the sun. It's my personal belief, and by what I see the Pope. I see that the Pope is going to lead this. That's what he's doing. He's behind this. Like, what is it called? Laudato Si. Every day that passes, I know more believers can see this about Pope Francis and some other leaders like King Charles. I'm just expressing myself here. I see multiple Christian YouTube ministries throwing out dates over and over for just about everything, like October 4th. You know, they did that the last time, and they've been doing it for a long time, and I think that's irresponsible. You're scaring people. Why not just let things happen? I just don't understand that. It makes people nervous, and it makes people disappointed, and it has in history too, with other sects, you know, like other denominations in Christianity. Bad things happen. The more I focus on what's going on around us, I see a pattern. If you see my video, I want you to understand that the regular media is paid off and they don't cover devastating stories. Why doesn't the public get up in an uproar? Because certainly we can still find the news on YouTube. So what gives? And you know why? Because everything is happening around us at one time. I don't think that's the full reason. I just think people are so stuck on their iPhones and stuff like that. I think that is it. What's with people? And I heard the only way you can really get people to go out and protest is by taking away their food, and I believe that's going to happen. Get to their electronics, get to their food. They wait till the last second. Disasters unfolding, people getting colder, disease on the rise, housing prices through the roof, people who are broke, suicides, murders, school shootings, mass shootings, wars, mass robbery. People have their eyeballs glued to a screen and they don't know or have the capacity to stop. You're just searching for a dopamine rush. Just know that. People have severe anxiety disorders because of today and the way it is with constant electronics. I promise you from my heart to yours that things get better when you remove the distractions, but you'll suffer short-term pain. Do you understand, especially as a practicing Christian, I didn't know this was this long, that the devil is the prince of the power of the air. He works through electronics. Even if you weren't a believer, if you were to guess and knew some Bible stories, how would you gain power if you were Satan? He isn't omnipresent like God is. So don't you think he would use social media? I would, and I would abuse and use every function to manipulate and trick every person who came close to it. If he offered Jesus every kingdom on earth, and if he worshipped him, don't you think he owns the air, TV? He owns everything on this earth. But don't get the idea that this isn't God's planet. Why do you think Hollywood has become so evil? I think the public doesn't know that evil is what evil is anymore, and it's happening through desensitization. They just don't know anymore. I heard the true tally of, so there was 12 million illegal migrants at the southern border. They shame people. Oh, you don't like him, you're racist, this and that. That's what they do. And then they say, okay, let them by. And it's happening in Europe as well. Think about this. This actually came from Elon Musk's comment, but I already watched a migrant I got to take a break again. Give me a sec. I have dysphonia of my throat. It's almost like dystonia. It's muscle tension dysphonia. It's not psychological. It's really tough. The more I talk and the more I break, it gets better. This actually came from Elon Musk's comment, but I already watched a migrant let through with the same situation he commented on. They're letting men through. And by the way, it's mostly men who are between 18, I would say 18 and 45. We were enslaved by the virus while they let people through with multitudes of diseases, and Black Lives Matter. They let all those protests happen. No masks. They didn't care. The hypocrisy, right? While they let people through with multitudes of diseases not regularly seen in the U.S. population. Very dangerous. So that's a height of hypocrisy after spending trillions on COVID. If they really cared about the spread, do you really think they would let in such loose rules? You know, like, oops, there goes $1 trillion, right? So it's more than that. I watched men with teardrop tattoos. So this is what Elon Musk said, and I saw before he even said that comment. People coming through with tattoos on their faces with the, you know, with the teardrop, and those marks mean either that they killed a police officer or they just killed a person, and that's their pride. They're proud about it, and that's why they've done that. They're letting murderers through. How nice. Can't take this world down until the United States is done first. That's my opinion, and it's working like magic. As you must know already. Oh, there. Just give me a second here. My battery's gonna die. Don't want to shut my camera off. I just touch it and it turns off. So as you must already know, Europe is facing the same thing now as all the countries of the world, which is proof people are paying them. Migrants used to be from like, you know, like when, a lot of migrants would come through from a single country. You know, there'd be a war or something. The elites are paying them because they're from, there's like 140 different countries. New York City is flooded again, and I know why. I do believe it was God, or, you know, somebody could have done that with weather manipulation. I don't know, but it happened, and I believe these things were foretold, and it's capital city, right? I think this is just my thought. Every time the president discusses partitioning the land of Israel, which, by the way, looks like it's going to happen, God sends natural disaster on the country. That's what I see. Go look those kind of articles up and you'll believe what I'm telling you. Remember, God's people and land are the apple of his eye. It certainly looks like Israel could be a two-state because of these talks with Saudi Arabia. The Saudis said if the Palestinians do not take part, because they will be left behind, because obviously they don't want peace at all. I don't think they do. The prophet Joel said that the land will be split, and these talks really could be at this time. And then we know in the Bible that it says when they say peace and safety, sudden destruction comes on them like a woman in labor. That's what's going to happen when they say peace and safety. Remember, I said that. Prophecy is all around us. If you don't understand prophecy, of which I still don't understand much, just like anyone, open a Bible without bias and pray for discernment in a genuine way, and God will lead you in ways that you can't imagine. And you think God will reveal secrets to an unrepentant or ingenuine person? Disingenuine, I don't know what the name is. Do you know why people can read the Bible, both old and new, and make a video telling people, you know, nothing happened to them? Try believing first. Open Scripture with a wanting heart. God doesn't reveal revelations of Scripture when you want. He is like a master Swiss watch maker who works in the most amazing and intricate ways. Thanks for watching. I'm going to shut this off. God bless. I hope everyone is doing well.